privilege to welcome our distinguished leader and a true visionary in the field of education, Professor K.K. Agrawal sir, as the President of South Asian University and the Chief Mentor of EduSkills. He has been at the forefront of advancing skill development and fostering academic excellence across the region. Under his insightful guidance and unwavering commitment, EduSkills has launched various transformative initiatives that empower students, nurture talent, and shape the future of education. So, please, everyone, please help me join in extending a warm welcome to Professor K. Agrawal sir, and now I invite him for the welcoming address with your kind words.
Distinguished guests on the dais, my dear friend and colleague for several years, Dr. Buddha Chandrasekhar, Dr. Dash, Shubhajit, who is spearheading EduSkills since its birth. And let me first of all say it's my pleasure to be here on the platform of EduSkills, because I find there are very few organizations in the country who really believe in the spirit of collaboration between education and industry and translate into action. The number of internships which they have generated, along with the full support and cooperation of Buddha Chandrasekhar in particular and AICT in general, have made a tremendous impact to not only engineering education but education as such, and that is something which we are looking forward to in the country. Friends, that made me sort of feel that if I could remain connected to EduSkills as their whatever guide or whatever they say, in some spirit, it's my humble contribution to this collaborative efforts. Friends, I remember very first lecture in computer science which I delivered maybe about 45 years ago, and the title of my talk was CS requires only CS, which I meant computer science requires only common sense. If you have common sense, you can become a computer scientist. Then I think about 25 years ago, I gave a popular talk on IT is necessary for IT. And what I meant is information technology is necessary for India's tomorrow, and it has become true for sure. Then I think about 5 years ago, I gave a talk, AI for AI. That's artificial intelligence for all Indians. Because I believe these technologies, whether it's computer science, these are only, if I use the engineering language, these are mutants of terminology. I feel all is same. Whether you call it computer science, whether you call it artificial intelligence, even when you call it AI, I'll just deliberate it a little. According to me, this is the superset of computer science in which we are evolving. And today when I found the topic of this annual conference, artificial intelligence for academia and industry. When I say all Indians, academia and industry is covered herein. But academia and industry is very important. Why? Because it is a unique country where we have been talking of academia and industry for the last 35, 40 years without making much headway to the required extent. If I compare particularly technical education between India and the other so-called developed countries, I'll come to this Buddha Chandrasekhar's line of extrapolation that we are on journey to mix it by. But the difference really is collaboration between academia and industry. If you see the developed countries, that collaboration is so strong. So strong that you have to believe it and see that. Even our best of institutions, still the collaboration is far too less compared to what is required for Viksit Bharat. So I'm so happy that the entire theme which is revolving around this country, and today it becomes more specific because the earlier two speakers have already mentioned, because of the birthday of our Honorable Prime Minister, that our road to Viksit Bharat is now visible. As an engineering student, and many of you are connected with engineering in some sense or the other, unless you define the goal in terms of cost, in terms of timeline, a product has no meaning. You just dream of a product without having any idea at what cost you will achieve it, in what time frame you will achieve it. You will probably never achieve it, and you will keep on living in the idle world that I am traveling, and you will keep on traveling. It's for the first time that this Prime Minister defined a timeline that we have to become Viksit by 2047, and now we are all moving in that direction fast enough. Second thing which I thought I'll tell you is, I somehow in life have believed coincidences do not happen. That is the larger game of chess which is played by Almighty, and we believe these are coincidences. This EduSkin annual conference starts on Vishwakarma's Day, which is connected with the skill in the strongest possible fashion in this country. Still, even today, after so many years, every worker worships his tools on this day. That is the beauty of this country, where we believe not only the end, but we believe in the means all the time and made sure that we are able to achieve it. So I feel that it's a very auspicious day for you to start this annual conference on this day and trying to bring education and skills together. Friends, somewhere down the line, when we evolve, and we were evolving, some things do happen which could be called aberrations when you retrospect. When I say that, what I mean is, at times it appears that we have treated education and skills as two separate verticals. And we said skilled education is for lower level cross-section of the society, and education is so-called for higher level of the society. That is the myth in which we developed ourselves for so many decades. So much so, many university professors have been very strongly arguing to give knowledge to the students is our job. Whether they get a job or not is not our concern. This was argued very strongly. Now, is it true? Maybe yes or no. Yes, because giving knowledge is essential and will always remain essential. But that does not mean I have no responsibility in addition to that. Because I define knowledge in very narrow domain. We confuse knowledge with curriculum. We confuse knowledge with examination papers. We confuse knowledge with CGPA. We confuse knowledge with pay package. We forgot what knowledge really is. And that is where the whole trouble started, because we were measuring our outcomes by CGPA. We were measuring our outcomes by pay packages. We never really measured our outcomes or what is happening to the society as a whole. And particularly in our country, we de-linked from the society to the extent possible. Our universities felt that they are elitist organizations, they have nothing to do with the society. All best universities in the world have the local mayor on their governing board, because the philosophy was that the local problems must be exposed to the universities for them to solve. We believe local politicians should be nowhere near the university because they will spoil the universities. Probably it was true also to some extent. But that is how we believe that we should be away from the rooted problems, we should be away from the realities of life, and we should be very happy in publishing papers. Whether those papers mean any damn thing or not, we didn't bother. Now that became the evolution of education for several years. I am not really sure whether it was intentional or it was subconscious, because history tells me that the books never taught us this. Right from our ancient most knowledge, it was never taught to us that we should de-link from society. But we did in the process. When it happened, why did it happen? I have no answers to this. Dr. Buddha Chandrasekhar talked about languages a lot. It's accepted fact that you become creative in your own language. It's a researched study that you become creative only in a language in which you dream. Now, anybody in this hall, I understand there are more than 200 people, anybody tells me that he or she dreams in English? I don't think so. You dream in Hindi, you dream in Telugu, you dream in Tamil, you dream in Malayalam, but you never dream in English. Then how do we expect you to be creative in English? You should learn English, yes. You should be very fluent in English, yes. You should be able to beat the word in English, yes. But not learning other languages because you are good in English was a nonsense which happened with us. And that is where it became a status symbol. Even the rickshawala will feel his child should go to an English medium school. In the process, he may become hungry. He didn't bother. And that is what happened. So we added artificial status symbols to our educational skill set. I was chairman of National Board of Accreditation for 4 years. And when I read the book, we always say that we should measure outcome-based education. What is the expected outcome? It is for the first time in this country that national education policy is an outcome-based policy. At least the policy defines that India will like to produce good global citizens. That's the output which has been defined, outcome which has been defined. It has never been done in any policy so far. And when I read outcome-based education, most of you are very highly university educated persons and industrialists, eminent industrialists. The outcome-based education was invented by a school teacher, not by a university professor. And it was invented by a school teacher, sociology teacher. A sociology school teacher invented the concept of outcome-based education. So it's not that high-end concept. It's a concept which always existed. In our country itself, your guru with whom you learned dancing, he decided one day, well, fine enough, now you have learned it. Was there a written exam? Was there anybody to challenge the guru? How did you say that? The guru used to say, yes, you have learned enough, now you can go to the field. Our judo karate, some teacher or expert would say, you are level black belt now. No, now you can be green belt. Nobody challenged it. We believe because the outcomes were defined in the mind of that guru, and those outcomes were expected and respected. We de-link the teachers with the students to that extent that the students learn to challenge the teachers. And the whole society learned to challenge the teachers. And that is where the whole gap appeared. Buddha Chandrasekhar did say that, but I'm even still more mental than him. But you will challenge your teachers was unthinkable. Because one method of learning is you believe your mentors, you believe your teacher, you believe your gurus. I'm a student of science, and I think all of them are. But is science the only truth? Science is the only truth appears to us because we only know limited truth. Science is not the only truth because I don't know much of it. I remember a story with Einstein. Somebody went to Einstein. He said the discussion was whether God exists or not. It's a philosophical discussion. So he said, if unless I see the God, how do I believe God exists? Well, scientists have a reason to say that. Einstein said, do you see that tree outside my house? He says, yes. Okay. He said, do you see a tree which is 500 meters away? He said, no. He said, okay, I'll give you a telescope. Einstein gave a telescope. He said, do you see that tree? He says, yes. He says, that tree which is 500 meters away? He says, no. He says, okay, I'll give you a more powerful telescope. Do you see that now? He says, yes. Another which is 5,000 meters away? He says, no. He says, then, my dear student, my problem is I do not have that powerful telescope still, which could show you that tree. That does not mean that tree does not exist. So there are many things which exist, which have to be believed in. And coming to artificial intelligence, I think artificial intelligence existed centuries and centuries ago. By whatever name I don't know, nobody knows the name. Because otherwise, how could you see the things which are not visible? And our history is full of stories which people could see the things which were not visible to many people. How come that happened? And the syllabi keep on changing. I myself taught artificial intelligence 40 years ago. I taught. And then for 30 years, nobody talked about artificial intelligence in this country. Because it was not found useful. And now everybody talks about artificial intelligence. And why it has become useful? Because now we feel that we have to see beyond what we can. Sometimes we say that he is experienced. When we say experience, what do we mean? That the cumulative knowledge which you have, you are able to use it. Artificial intelligence only means I am able to use all experts' experience together. Now that is the power which we had in the earlier days. So what I was trying to say is, in that book of NBA, it says, you can accredit a college provided you are sure that the graduates of this college have acquired knowledge, skills, attitude and behavior. So all the four ingredients of a good citizen for life and livelihood both are built in the definition, and it is knowledge, skills, attitude and behavior. I'm sorry, we are still not talking about attitude and behavior to that extent which is expected, which is required, except that we are trying to cover something by way of skills. My dear audience, I would always like the audience in EduSkills conference because it is the platform where I found almost equal number from industry and academia. Otherwise, we find either go to CII, WICCI, all industries, or we go to universities, all universities. But this is one platform where I find at least 25-75 or 30-70 ratio of industry and academia, and that is necessary. So friends, collaboration is the name of the game, which is the only game we have to learn to play. And collaboration between academia and university is not only desirable, is a must. Is a must for our survival. Friends, believe you me, if we don't do that, we will not be able to survive in the real sense of the word in today's technological world. Indian child is the superb child, there's no doubt about it, and I 100% echo what was said by Buddha Chaturashya. And I'll give you an incident, real life incident. I went to Microsoft for some lectures long back, when Windows were first delivered to the whole world. I asked them, which is the core team which has developed Windows? He said, sir, 8 young boys and girls have developed Windows for the whole world. said, I like to meet them out of my curiosity. They said, sir, today it's too late now, but when you come for the next lecture after 5 days, we will arrange a meeting with you for those 8 young boys and girls. My dear friends, what a proud day for an Indian. When I met them, 8 young boys and girls, all late 20s, early 30s, in the committee room, talking to me about their journey, about some platform which changed the world in some sense. What I'm trying to tell you is, 7 of them were Indians, from Indian institutions, from Indian universities, from Indian institutions, working with Microsoft. And when I got little deeper, 8th was American child of Indian parents. So that's the beauty of the brain of Indians. And unfortunately, we very specialize in undermining ourselves. That's the beauty of this country. We are very happy criticizing each other, undermining ourselves, and that is a skill which we have acquired without any teaching. And that is something which is undermining our youth like anything. I can say it with full authority. You talk to any student in, say, America, which obviously is Viksit, no doubt about it. I talked to a student, I said, what are you doing? He said, sir, I'm studying computer science. In which university? In this university. I said, but this university is not very great in computer science. Obviously, he took admission there because he did not get it anywhere else. But when I said this university is not very great in computer science, his reply was, sir, but my professor with whom I am working is very great. He is working in this area and this university is very great in this area. That's the confidence. In our country, I bet you to talk to any student. Where are you studying? I'm studying in NIT. Okay? But sir, if I had got 2 more marks, I would have got into IIT. Whole life he is frustrated where he is. If you talk to a student in IIT, say, Kharagpur, so if I had got 1 mark more, I would have been in IIT Kanpur. If you talk to a student in IIT Kanpur, sir, yes, I'm studying in IIT Kanpur, but I got mechanical engineering. Had I got a 0.2 marks more, I would have got computer science. So the point which I'm trying to say is, who is to be blamed for building this skill of no confidence or low confidence in our youth? And this is killing them, and we have to realize them. To talk to the youth has to be skilled in confidence building. And this approach of ours sometimes, when we treat knowledge as some subjects, skills as some subjects, according to me, is not a very healthy spirit. We have to treat knowledge plus skills, plus attitude, plus behavior in every subject integral. And every teacher has to be a role model in that. I really pity to the student 1 hour you teach communication skills. Get a good communication teacher, teach him or her communication skills. And the remaining 6 hours a day, he get other subjects taught by hopeless communicators. So what are you teaching? What are you doing? We have to develop all these skills in all our academia community. I think some training courses for the internship of the faculty, because the role modeling is the only method for transferring knowledge in a real sense, which we have to do. As far as skills are concerned, I think we have to go to meta skills, because skills will go on changing. Industry 4.0, the analysis said that 65% of our graduates will be taken of a job whose title we don't know. Now when I don't know what will this graduate be doing, how can I design curriculum perfectly? It will have to be some perfect job. Everybody will have to accept this, but we will have to equip the students to learn himself, because there is no other method doing it. So friends, I'm very happy to be India. Wish all the best to EduSkills in expanding their activities. I'm very happy that they've gone international, or they are at least trying to go international. We will do our best in that sense. I have the privilege of having a university now which is governed and funded by 8 governments, and probably the only university in the whole world which is funded and governed by 8 countries. That's an opportunity which India has created, not only for India alone, but for other 7 countries too. So by that mechanism as one of the means, if we can reach other countries, which has been always our aim, we will do that. And today also we expected Chairman UGC of Nepal to be here, along with 6 of their good engineering colleges in this conference, but because of the turmoil in Nepal, it had to be sort of suspended. I'm sure EduSkills will outreach, but there is so much to do, despite the terrifically large numbers. The numbers to be covered up are still many times more than the numbers which you have covered, and therefore your efforts have to multiply. As many of you in this hall will have to multiply your efforts manifold and take it to greater heights. I wish you all the best. Finally, I am so happy to congratulate the award winners this year. Just one observation. I find about 80% awards go to the same people. And understand this. But this is a problem with which we have to deal with. If we don't recognize the best, we are doing something wrong. And the second line feels award to इन्हीं को जाएगा, हमने क्यों काम किया? Now that's a bit of a dichotomy. So when I was president of IETE, Institute of Electronics and Telecommunications, we used to give best center. Some of you might know we have, as IETE, we have 65 centers in the country. And we used to give awards to the best center. Invariably, Bangalore, Hyderabad will become the best center. So I thought this is not very fair. So what I started was, which I can suggest, best center award and best growing center. Where the incremental growth is maximum. Because incremental growth will change from one to another. And we recognize the incremental growth, we recognize the continuous improvement, which is the essence of quality education, quality skill. So maybe we can think in that direction also, to make sure that we make at least 10-15 people really compete for an award. Not taking it for granted that I am the best and I know I am the best. So with this one observation, I would like to stop my interaction with you here. I'll be here for some more time to have any further interactions, because I repeat, I strongly believe that platforms like this will have to do much more. Artificial intelligence, we need not be afraid of. It will take some jobs, yes, but it will not take your jobs if you decide to retain your job. It will take your job only and only if you become complacent. If you decide today, make sure, help me the AI, I will not allow AI to take my job. It will never take your job. It will rather give you power to give 10 more jobs. That is the spirit of AI, and we have to use it very judiciously. ChatGPT and all that. Mind you, the research studies are both ways. ChatGPT is facilitating us like anything, but ChatGPT is also killing the originality in some areas. There have been a case study where the student submitted an essay. They took the help of ChatGPT, and when the same students were confronted with that essay, they could not even recognize that it's an essay written by them. Now, if we take that ChatGPT to that extent, we will have to be careful, and we will. But even if we wish or not, AI will remain, AI will stay, ChatGPT will stay. More powerful ChatGPT will come. We will have to be more powerful than that to make sure that we are able to beat the technology. You have to be the master of the technology. technology has to be your subservient, your assistant, your helper, your support, not your guide, not your master. And I remind again, when I was president of IET in the Golden Jubilee year, I said, remember, IT is I plus T, and I comes before T. So I am before the technology.